Happy January 2nd, or whatever you're listening to this episode. This is the first episode releasing in 2023. I should mention what podcast this is. This is Predator versus Movies. I'm Alex.
I'm Peter.
I'm Aidan. This is a good American accent you're doing because they're American in the movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a podcast where we discuss and review the latest movie releases. Is that American? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll start off with a non-spoiler review before diving into a deep discussion of the film, and then we're going to ask the most important question. With it,
What kind of accent is that, man?
I think it sounds American. I don't know.
Would this movie be better if the alien from Predator was in it? This week we're going to be reviewing The Whale with no special guest. Sorry for that bizarre accent. I don't even know what that is. First, we're going to start off with some news, though.
Sure.
So first off, Avatar: The Way of Water has crossed $1 billion at the box office. It is not yet the highest grossing movie of 2022, and I don't think it's going to make it there. I guess...
Well, spilling into 2023, it will.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I guess, if it released in 2022 and it continues making money into 2023...
I think you can still...
That still counts?
I think you still count that.
Okay. So Top Gun Maverick is still currently in the top slot. It's got it's almost $1.5 billion. Avatar is almost at 1.2. But it got there very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, now it only needs like $800 million more to break even or whatever.
yeah, like a shit ton. But I think it is the highest grossing movie of 2022 internationally. So that extra box office is all from America for Top Gun.
Yeah. I cannot imagine Top Gun playing in any country as popularly as it did in America and Canada.
Yeah, I actually do have the numbers in front of me. So foreign or like internationally, Avatar: The Way of Water has what is that? 800 just north of $800 million, and Top Gun has less. It has 7,700.
Okay.
So there you go. Yeah, it's all America, all American money. In the past couple of weeks, the Oscar shortlist came out, and there were a couple of interesting snubs. Both Nope and Tar did not make it onto the sound shortlist,
which is crazy.
Crazy.
I actually think Nope in particular is crazier than that to me. Like Tars is obviously fantastic too, but Nope produced one of the most disturbing horror scenes I've seen in a long time, and the sound was such a huge part of that. Like it's insane to me that Nope didn't get nominated.
And like I know what you're talking about, like the screams from the spaceship thing, like that. I wrote that in my review. Like it was so bone chilling. So I had the list in front of me for sound. So the ones that made it were All Quiet on the Western Front, fine. Avatar: The Way of Water, which I can't even think of like one sound from that. Like I don't know.
I guess the water sounded like water. Like
sure. Babylon made it on, which. Sure, okay. I guess there was some jazz sound, which sounded like
there's some jazz stuff going on.
The Batman,
I like that.
Probably was good. Black Panther, which I guess maybe there was some like interesting sound, because this isn't like score either. Like this is its own thing. Elvis made it on.
I don't mind that actually. I actually think Elvis's sound was something that I did cut. I don't like that movie at all, but
I'm just comparing these to Nope. Like the fact that Nope didn't make it, and
it's crazy.
Is like so strange. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's cool.
Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio made it on for sound. I also don't know like what sound that's for. Moon Age Daydream, warranted. That's fair. And Top Gun Maverick, also I think fair.
Yeah.
And then the other snub was for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Did not make it onto the VFX sound shortlist. Sorry.
Yeah, which is because it's such like intelligent VFX. Like it's not very high budget, but it's done in such a way that's so effective and like achieves what it wants to at a lower budget. And I think like that's the kind of ingenuity that should be rewarded. And I think it's pretty sad that a movie that looks as good as that on that budget isn't nominated.
Yeah. Like Doctor Strange and Fantastic Beasts made it on.
Fantastic
among
Beasts.
others.
That's so.
That's
that
crazy.
movie came out this year.
Yeah, I exactly. That movie came out 5 years ago, and I won't accept any other answer. Like, there's no way.
Well, no, this is the third one. This is Fantastic Beasts.
No, I know.
The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Those ended 5 years ago for me.
Sure.
In my head.
I remember watching the first one in theaters and being like, "This is all right. This is an okay movie." And then everyone since then, I've not been showing up to. This is probably the most interesting news from the past couple of weeks. Movies can now be sued under false advertising laws for having misleading trailers, and this is because this is even better. This is because two Ana de Armas fans rented Yesterday, the movie from 2019 about the Beatles. And in the trailer, Ana de Armas was in the movie and they cut her scene, but they put her in the trailer. And so they rented the movie thinking Ana de Armas was in it, and then she wasn't, like, at all. And so then they filed a lawsuit, and I guess they won.
That's crazy.
Where was that? Is that in America?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know where it was, but like that's just so funny to me.
I don't like that, actually, because I actually I think it's like, it's interesting when a movie is able to market something in such a way that like gets people into the theater, but then it pulls the rug in like in a cool way. Because some movies are like unmarketable in what they actually are, and you have to embellish and even like lie in the trailer to like even just to get that draw, and that's just the reality of it.
Well, I think it's like two different scenarios, right? One is like you see a scene in the trailer, but that scene is not in the movie. But the movie still works because like the trailer is supposed to get you hype, and then the movie delivers, Sure,
but think about even like the Tar trailer.
But like I think in this case it's more about it's more about like how you expect an actor or something to be in the movie, and then you don't see them in the movie, then you get disappointed. So. But like I think plot wise, the deception is very fair, because like the whole point is that you want to get hype after watching a trailer, but you don't want to know the full movie after watching a trailer.
I think there's something to be said about saying like in a trailer, like, oh, this actor you like is going to be in the movie, even though they're actually not. Like that's actually like straight up lying.
Yeah, like that's bad. I agree.
So I think I understand your fear though, Aidan, that it could then be applied to other movies. Like the one that I think of the most is Avengers Infinity War.
With Hulk.
When there were like fully like made up VFX shots to actively hype you, and that works very well. And I think that was a great idea.
Yeah, and what happens in the movie is like not disappointing.
When it's just as good.
It's like why?
Yeah, I think that's an example of good deception that could potentially, fall under these new laws. I don't know, it's weird.
And also, how misleading is the Tar trailer? It's so misleading. Like there's so many things you see teaser, that aren't in the movie at all, and then like it doesn't give you a sense of the plot, and it also doesn't really give you a sense of the tone either. It makes it sound like it's this like a little bit of the tone.
Artsy.
And it's not that at all, or it's a little bit like that sometimes, but.
Yeah, I don't know how they can apply it, but speaking of Avengers, let's head into the Marvel corner.
The Marvel
nice
corner.
Transition.
Thank you. This is a rumor, but it's been rumored that Ben Affleck might be coming back to Marvel, not as one horned character Daredevil, but as a different horned character, the Thor villain Dario Agger, who's like an Elon Musk type billionaire of CEO of Roxxon, the oil corporation in Marvel, who also happens to turn into a Minotaur, which is exactly what I said Thor, what is it, 5? Thor 5 should be if you do it. I'm losing I think that's such a great idea. I think Ben Affleck is also like a really good choice for that character. Like if you look him up, like he looks exactly like him, just somehow.
I still think they should have Jesus in Thor 5. But that's just me personally. Yeah.
If they go for another comedic Thor movie, then sure, whatever. But
dude, say what you will about the MCU, but I think casting has always been on point. I just think like if you go all the way back to like RDJ as Tony Stark, and then more recently Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, I just thought that was perfectly casted. Like they actually like the tone, the sort of vibe they give out is just immaculate, exact same.
For sure. And I also I just think Dario Agger is like a great character to do next, just because it can bring Thor back to Earth and make Earth the central thing. I think also doing that and like exploring Thor's connection with Earth would be a really great point to end that franchise on. And they also teased Hercules, and I just think like, although exactly, I don't think they've explored it in the comics, but like, even though Dario Agger is a Thor villain, the fact that he's from Greek mythology, the Minotaur, it's just too perfect. It's too perfect to pass up on.
That does make sense.
Do your classic Hobbs and Shaw kind of Thor and Hercules, where they're like fighting and beefing, and then they make up. And
dude, I liked Hobbs and Shaw. Hobbs and Shaw was a fun movie.
Sure. Anyways, we got one other bit of news for the Marvel corner. This is a rumor about what Captain America 4 will be about, and boy, is it a doozy. Hopefully, spoilers for Eternals, for those of you like Peter, who have not seen the movie yet, that came out last year. But basically, apparently, Cap 4 could be a geopolitical conflict in which several countries around the world are fighting to claim ownership of Tiamat Island, aka the celestial that was popping out of the earth and then got turned into some material. So they're going to be fighting over this island, and not just like for any random reason, but because it contains and maybe is entirely made of adamantium.
Oh,
the metal that Wolverine's claws are famously made out of.
That's so funny.
That's fucking insane.
When you first said that, I didn't you didn't say that it was because it was valuable, and my thought was like, why the fuck would they want to even why would they be fighting over this? But I also think like, what the fuck? What is Captain America going to do about that conflict? Like, what do you mean?
Like, it feels very like American imperialism, like modern American imperialism. Like, and I don't know if that's something they're actively going to be like investigating, or if that's just like on the nose and like they don't even notice.
Yeah, well, Marvel's never going to be able to investigate that in any meaningful way. But
but yeah, like I also like there was the whole rumor about the Thunderbolts movie, and like they were going to be going to the Savage Land to get another vibranium meteorite. It's like, pick one, do one of those things. You know? Don't do both.
Yeah, what's the point of having both adamantium and vibranium? They're like the same thing, right? Like, I don't know the comics too well, but
adamantium is a steel vibranium alloy, and I don't know why they don't just do that.
Oh, okay.
Like that's what I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Like, it's a little bit of vibranium mixed with something else. So I think I don't know why they have to complicate it. It also like I don't know about you guys, but like Tiamat, when he got turned into the thing, did not look like adamantium. It looked like, I thought it was marble, or maybe like snow. Like, I almost thought it was snow, like a glacier, and I was like, oh good, global warming, just fixing that too.
Wait, since he's a celestial, shouldn't the island be around for like a long time, or is it just like recent? I did not watch the movie.
So like you actively do not know what we're talking about, so I'm not gonna explain it to you. And also, like, it does kind of explain some of those rumors we heard, like Red Hulk being the president makes sense.
Sure.
The Israeli superhero character a little bit makes sense. Somewhat. Man, I just also think it's so funny that Marvel's only now trying to make Eternals canon. And it's like, I don't know if you want to. Like, that would seem like a movie no one liked. So like, I don't know if that's the move. Anyways, we've got some more superhero news from Aidan. This isn't really
Dude, so some of you may remember that on our Fablemans episode, I made a really good joke that nobody understood, in which I referenced that like the plot of the movie is like the "Does he know Paul Dano" meme, and I said that to no avail. And on December 28th, another user tweets out the exact same thing, and the comments, I kid you not, like are, "This is the funniest thing I've seen all week. You deserve an award for this. Late contender for tweet of the year. And then the last one, the funniest thing ever.
Ever. I love that.
The pain I feel right now. Just I should have tweeted it, I know, but it still wouldn't have been seen. But man, that hurts to see.
It's funny, like the tweet literally, it's a picture of the thumbnail. Does he know Paul Dano? And I think the text is, "This is literally the plot of The Fabelmans." Like it's so basic, and it's exactly what Aidan said. Maybe they're a listener. Maybe they stole.
Yeah, maybe they fucking stole my thing.
If you're listening to this right now and you stole from Aidan,
give me credit.
Give it back.
Yeah,
give it back. Give him credit. Anyways, we got some.
Give us a 5-star review.
Also, do that. Anyways, even if you didn't steal from Aidan. Now we're gonna head into the trailer park. I hate that so much. We got a trailer for M. Night Shyamalan's latest movie, Knock at the Cabin.
Oh yeah,
which I think it's based on a book, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. And it's Dave Bautista, and he's got like a cult, and he invades Jonathan Groff and his partner in the movies, and their family's like cabin getaway, whatever. And he's like giving them an ultimatum. I think one of them has to kill the other. That seems like what it is. I don't know, but
yeah. So this is one of my hot film guy takes or whatever. Like in that, I guess it's not that hot of a take, but I love M. Night Shyamalan. In fact, like I like really, really enjoy it. Like Signs, Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, even The Village. I think The Village is fucking sick, and that's like a badly reviewed movie and stuff.
Did you watch Old? How was that?
Old was cool. It was like there's some problems with it, but it was cool. It was fun. But yeah, I mean, like, and then I thought Glass, which was also one of his recent ones, was terrible. I thought that was a really bad one. And this one really feels like, to me, like, this is a good M. Night setting, a cabin in the woods that feels up his alley. I feel like kind of like wacky concept that like with like families and stuff. I'm quite excited for this. So yeah.
I have to say, like, I'm just trying to look it up, and I'm having a tough time right now. But I don't know if I've seen maybe even one of M. Night Shyamalan's movie. That's what I'm trying to check. And
did you see the last Airbender movie?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that's his worst movie.
Did he do? There's no way. That has to be a lie. So I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see that. Okay, here we go. Okay, M. Night Shyamalan's director. The movies he's directed. Praying with Anger, Wide Awake, The Sixth Sense. I still haven't seen that. I do want to, though.
That's a great one.
He was involved in rewrites on She's All That.
I did know that, yeah.
He wrote Stuart Little, which is something that I have watched. Unbreakable, haven't seen it yet. Signs, The Village, Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender. After Earth. Okay, yes, I have seen After Earth.
That one's bad.
It is bad. The one with Will Smith and his son. He did The Visit, Split, Glass, Old. So like literally, After Earth is the only one that I've seen, and I didn't even know he did that one.
After Earth is one of his worst movies. I would say that's like that's one of the worst ones he has.
Yeah. So like I'm not a fan, but like I was interested by this trailer. I think it looks pretty good. And I mean, Dave Bautista for the win, like him playing supporting, like really interesting characters. Like I'm all for that. So this might be the first M. Night Shyamalan movie that like I actively like go out to see because I'm intrigued right now. Also, really like Jonathan Groff. He's great. Watch Mindhunter, great show. Peter, did you watch this trailer? What do you think?
Dude, I thought I'm just not as moved by like the whole the world's gonna end stuff anymore.
More than that.
And I feel like I really enjoyed the old trailer. I didn't watch the movie, but I thought like the concept behind how like just aging can be turned into like just rapid aging can be turned into horror. This sort of like, you think of aging, then you think of death, and then all of these things chaining together. I thought like it's a very smart way to handle like a horror film. But like this one, like just the concept alone didn't really grab me, but we'll see. I've never seen. I've just checked Letterboxd. I've seen 0 M. Night Shyamalan films. So
well, if it's true to form, there will be a plot twist that will turn the thing on its head.
Yeah. So. I just have to say, like Old, I'm the inverse of Peter, because Old, like, I was actively like, oh, this is an M. Night Shyamalan, like, there's a twist, and like that's the whole thing. Yeah. I'm not interested in this because of that, because it's so clearly M. Night Shyamalan. Whereas
there actually isn't there isn't a huge twist in Old, not really.
Well,
there's
no, it's like the beats that makes you old. Like, that's as far as a twist that I mean. Like, I don't mean,
sure.
Like, it's not like the I See Dead People kind of twist. Like, here's a weird scenario like that. I just kind of associate with M. Night Shyamalan. Sure. Whereas this, I'm like, this actually just looks like a regular movie.
Totally.
Well. So that's, anyways. There was also not a trailer, but a behind the scenes video. I get the feeling that like Oppenheimer saw the Mission Impossible behind the scenes video and was like, we can top that. so it's a behind the scenes video, and also it's explanation for the news story that was cycling, which was that Nolan had dropped a nuclear weapon, like practically, for Oppenheimer, and it's not quite as long as the Mission Impossible one, which was like 9 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a short 2.5, which was actually nice. I didn't mind that,
but I just hate how they, like, in the clip, they didn't explain anything. They're just like, oh, this is the biggest stunt we ever done, but I'm not going to tell you how we did it.
Yeah,
I mean, really it's the Prestige. A magician never reveals his secrets or something. Or maybe there was a horrible incident, and so they're trying to keep it, like, low profile. Like, yeah, we did it. About it, you know.
Come see the movie. Yeah.
50 people died. What else I was gonna say?
And it's up to you to make their sacrifices worth it. So come see our movie.
Yeah. It was some of the shots they intersplice in the behind the scenes footage from the movie. Like, those aren't from the atomic bomb going off. Those are CGI.
Okay.
Like, I'm almost certain some of those, right?
That's good.
Right, like the ones that Aidan was talking about last week or last time we recorded. That was like,
because I mean, I feel like you can't really do like a mushroom cloud without like an actual big explosive device going off, right?
It's called CGI.
Yeah, like I'm hoping that's CGI. You know what I mean?
No, I'm pretty sure that was practical.
That was practical.
Okay.
My God.
The mushroom cloud, practical. I'm pretty sure. The pictures of like black background with like sparks and things swirling around, I'm really doubting that that's real. Just because like it looks like it's in a fake environment. So
it does look very contained for sure.
Anyways, my last bit of news relates to our movie, and this is hot off the press. Apparently James Corden was going to be in an adaptation of The Whale, like, because this is a play. So he was originally going to play Charlie some time ago, and I just have to say, thank God he didn't. I mean, we'll get into how we feel about this movie, but by God, that would have sucked so bad.
Yeah, that would have, like, again, we'll get into it, but that would have stripped away one of the most redeeming parts of this movie.
That would have been like a truly insufferable movie.
Yeah.
But as I just mentioned, we watched The Whale this week, directed by Darren Aronofsky, based on a screenplay by Samuel D. Hunter, adapting his own 2012 play of the same name. It stars Brendan Fraser, Sadie Sink, Hong Chow, Ty Simpkins, who is the kid from Iron Man 3.
He is, okay.
And Samantha Morton. The DP is Matthew Libatique, who at first I was like, oh, I wonder who this guy is. You have definitely seen some of his movies. He's done every Aronofsky movie, as far as I could tell.
Oh, yeah.
He did Don't Worry, Darling.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yes.
That was a pretty movie, actually.
He did Birds of Prey.
Oh, yeah.
Both Iron Man 1 and 2. Not 3, though.
Oh, that's interesting. Together, they have the trilogy.
It's an Iron Man reunion movie. And he did Venom.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
He's got a wide degree of projects under his belt. It's distributed by A24, and it has a runtime of 1 hour and 57 minutes. And funny enough, I was not able to find what the budget was. So we'll never know. Yeah, I don't know.
It couldn't have been like insanely high. It's like
I
one
don't think
like
so.
yeah.
It seems low budget. But before we get into that, we are gonna do our classic game, Predacritic. This is a game where there's an internet website where
there's one of them internet websites.
Yeah, the type, and basically like critics have their scores of a movie and then they're averaged out of 100. If it's 60 or above, it's green. If it's 80 or above, it's must see. If it's in the 50s, it's yellow. And if it's in the 40s or below, it's red. So we're basically going to guess where the whale lands in that metric. And I have a wheel of names. And it's going to tell me who goes first. So let's spin the wheel.
Whee, spinning the wheel.
This is very entertaining for me and me only.
Yeah, and all the audio.
You can just rig the result.
It's Aidan. Aidan gets to go first, whether he likes it or not.
Shit. Okay. So immediately I'm thinking like in the 50s, 60s range. That's where my head's instantly going. I don't know if like the Renaissance is going to like bump this a little bit, maybe. And so there are good things about this movie. There are things to like. There are a lot of things to like. I could understand how someone would really like this movie, but I feel like most critics didn't like it that much. I don't know.
Just give us a score, man. What's all this stalling?
I'm gonna do American accent.
Like 63.
Okay. Oh, I gotta spin my wheel of names again. Okay, here we go.
Woo.
Oh. Peter. This is so entertaining for me. Peter gets to go next.
That's good for you though. Why'd you say
actually, I keep forgetting which is the best spot to go.
65.
Okay, fuck. I think I fucked up. I think you're right. I think it's higher than 63. Shit.
I know I get to go.
The number in my head, I'm just going to say this now, the number in my head was 67, and I didn't say it. So if that would have won, I just want that out
there. Dude, we should have like our actual prediction.
Yeah. Well, I just have to say thank you, Peter, because I'm going to pick a clean 64 just so I don't lose, because I don't like losing.
Yeah.
I won't win. I'll sacrifice the win so I don't lose. You should have just picked 64 and fucked me over, Peter. But anyways, so now I have to do the next part. I keep forgetting my drum on here.
Come on.
Do a drum, man. Come on.
64, 65. This has become a really uninteresting game where we just guess the same fucking number.
No, I think it's more fun now. I think it's more interesting.
Okay, so actually, in a surprise turn of events, Aidan wins. 60.
Back on top.
The whale got 60. I'm glad I guessed what I guessed. I was gonna guess higher. But,
Chicago Sun-Times gave the movie 100.
That's so funny though.
That is crazy.
How do you guys feel about 60 for the whale?
I actually think
I don't mind that. Yeah,
I don't mind that at all.
It's definitely warranted, I think.
Yeah.
So let's as the winner, Aidan, I don't know if you remember what happens when
it's been too long.
You get to decide who goes first for the non-spoiler reaction, and you can choose yourself.
Now that I've crawled my way back up to the top of the mountain, I'm gonna go first for this non-spoiler review. Yeah, so it got 60. I agree with that. I, since seeing it, have changed my review on Letterboxd of it between 3 stars and 3.5 about 4 times. Like I've wavered back and forth, and I've now landed on 3. This is a 3-star movie for me. There is a lot to like. There are certain directing and cinematography choices I really like. I actually quite like the look of the movie. It has this kind of like this constant like rainy sort of like there isn't very much high key lighting, and there isn't that much. The characters stand out from the backgrounds, but at the same time, it's like there's kind of this more even lighting look, and I actually thought it was quite nice to look at, even though a lot of like people on Twitter will be like, "Oh, that's gray and shit," but I just don't know. I think it's dumb. But anyway, I like the look of it. I thought Brendan Fraser was really, really great in it. I really loved his performance. And then I thought that with the script, I think all the actors gave in pretty good performances, except for one that I'll get into that I didn't like as much. But I didn't like the script very much at all. I did not know that this was based on a play going into it, and as soon as I saw that in the credits, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. This feels very much like a play, and I mean that in a bad way. The dialogue is like, in a play you can't have like inserts and stuff, and so like a lot of things need to be just like, a lot of information needs to be given just in dialogue, and there's too much over explanation in the dialogue. I think this movie is a little overwritten. I think there's one line in particular where one of the characters is talking to Charlie, the main character, and he says something like, oh, I hate when you do that, you're so annoying. And it's like the second sentence is nothing. You don't need to say that. You're over explaining it at this point. That should be subtext. I understand you think he's annoying. You're being annoyed by it. And like there were a lot of lines like that where it was like, this is too much. This is too on the nose. In terms of script, like I appreciate the themes of like honesty and care. I like, and what care looks like for different people, but I also think that they weren't necessarily explored in the most engaging way. And so I would give this 3 stars. I would not necessarily recommend this to somebody, although I do know multiple people who love this movie.
Right.
So,
do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure, yeah. So, yeah, I was warned before going into this movie that it's like very, very good, that it's great, and that it's like emotionally devastating, that I was going to be like sobbing. And that is not what my reaction was. No, no offense to the people who told me that. If you're listening, that's completely fair. But yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. I would say if you're a big film person, maybe, I don't know, just to see it, just to see what the buzz is about, the little buzz there is. 3 stars. Yeah.
Yeah, just for film people. You were saying something about play dialogue, and I remember talking about that. I'm having a deja vu thing, but I don't remember what that was. Who should go next, Peter?
I think this is going to be a case of Alex and I having a similar take again, so I want to hear from Peter.
We didn't even sit together this time.
No, I know, but like, I think we're like, do we have a similar take to it?
Pretty well. I didn't think yet, so it'll be a spur of the moment decision, I guess. But anyways,
we'll hear from Peter.
What do you think?
Well, like, actually, I think we're all in agreement for this one.
Oh, the first time we have the same take on a movie.
I just think, like, to be honest, this movie, like, again, I was sort of misled by like the whole Cannes Film Festival standing ovation thing, where it's like, okay, it got a standing ovation, everyone's clapping, you know, people are crying, it has to be good, right? But it was not good. I think, like, this movie has very few redeeming factors. It explores many themes, but it never goes in depth to a degree to get a actual not rewarding, I guess, but like an actual meaningful catharsis at the end. And like, to me, I think the film's ending just felt really out of place. Like, characters have just started to sort of gain an understanding of each other, then the movie just ends, which we'll get into in the spoiler section. And actually, I don't think I recommend this to anybody. I think it's like, for me, watching a film, you watch it for like the story, you watch it for the visual, you watch it to gain a better understanding of life or like the human condition. This movie doesn't offer you any of that. It doesn't offer you like a thrill of an action film, nor does it offer you like an actual devastating or not exploration of the human condition like some of the more artsy films. So I honestly think this movie is bad. I even like, I feel I lowered my score once already from a 3.5 to a 3, and I'm inclined to lower it again to 2.5. I think the only good thing out of this movie, it's sort of like just to prove to the world that Brendan Fraser is a great actor and he can pull off like really demanding roles. But that's about it, you know. Like, I think that's about like the only thing I enjoyed from this movie, because it's like, whether you like him as an actor or like this film or not, there's no disagreement that it takes finesse for an actor to pull off a demanding role like this, and I think he did it flawlessly. So that's my non-spoiler review.
Did you? Sorry, I might have missed it. Did you recommend this or no? No, you said no. You said
I don't recommend this.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, we're pretty well all on agreement. Unfortunately, man, we should have got someone who disagreed with us. Okay. Here's my journey. So, also, by the way, it was very funny. Like, as I was pulling up to the theater, I saw coming towards me I won't describe it, but Aidan's car is a very distinctive color and shape. And so it was like, oh my fucking God, is that Aidan? Because we didn't arrange to see it together. And so then he turns into the parking lot and I turn to follow and he parks and I see him get out of the car. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, even when we didn't plan to go together, we're watching the movie at the same fucking time. And I mean, it's also, like, there's only one theater.
Yeah, but it's not even like usually that has happened before where we accidentally see the same one, but usually it's because it's like we had a similar class schedule and like we're seeing it on the same day, but like we just both randomly decided on a Wednesday. Like
Wednesday night.
This is when we're going to see it. Yeah.
Random time. And mine was like so fucking last minute. Man, it was very funny. I did not sit with Aidan, so the osmosis of opinions did not happen until we came over with the same takeaway. I think from the opening shot gave me hope. Somewhere in the middle, I was like trying not to fall asleep.
Oh, really?
No way.
By the end, I was laughing. So
really?
That's kind of my journey for this movie. I think plain and simple, The Whale is Oscar bait. I think it's Oscar bait to get an award for Brendan Fraser. Which, I mean, hey, if you want to get Brendan Fraser an acting award, go ahead. Like, that's a noble pursuit. I think it could get Hong Chow a supporting actor or actress. By the way, I tweeted about this. Like, I don't know why we still do actor, actress in the Oscar. That's so weird.
Doesn't make sense.
Anyways, like, she could get supporting. Maybe Sadie could get supporting. I don't know, but and maybe, like, I don't think this is something that gets Darren Aronofsky
no,
like best director.
No.
And this really should not be a best picture win. I mean, if we're following Kodo rules, like, who knows, all bets are off. But yeah, like, I just think it's very clearly based on the play. I did know that going into it, so there wasn't a discovery element, but it's so limited by the fact that it's a play, and Darren Aronofsky doesn't do anything interesting with literally anything. It's one of his most boring. It's a boring movie generally, and it's a boring Aronofsky movie. I think I've only seen of his Black Swan and Requiem for a Dream, both of which are like pretty intense movies. So this was very different for him, like watching one of his movies. But I think, yeah, there's a lot like that he wants to pontificate about, but ultimately, like, as a story about a character, it's just so uninteresting, and he doesn't do anything with the character. It feels like a movie that's like, hey, it's a movie that's trying to say, hey, fat people are human too, right? And it feels very much like that, like a Hollywood movie trying to humanize people that, like, and it's created by people who aren't from that community, right? Like, it just feels inauthentic, which is so funny for a movie that's trying to be about authenticity. Yeah, I mean, what else can I say? I don't know. I think that basically summarizes it. It's boring, uninteresting, which are practically synonyms, but I think I would give it a 3 right now. I could see someone giving it a 2.5. And I wouldn't recommend this to people. I don't think people need to go see this. I think it's just, it's not a great movie. So now we've done our non-spoiler reviews. Somebody has to do a synopsis in under 2 minutes. And it's not Aidan.
Let's go. This one actually isn't hard to do a synopsis of.
Yeah, I feel like this one's not difficult.
Because not a lot happens, frankly, in 2 hours. So Peter, are you ready?
Yes, count me down.
Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Okay, so Brendan Fraser's character Charlie gets visited by like a missionary person when he was like choking and dying, and then he's saved by reading a essay from his daughter to him by the missionary, and then later on, Han Cho's character, which is the nurse, visited him, tells him that, oh, actually you have congestive heart failure because you're too big and you might die soon. So this sort of started Charlie on a whole journey to reconnect with his daughter, and then through that journey, we find out more about his past. That he left his ex-wife to be with a guy called Alan, which goes to his Nye University program. But then Alan's family is very religious, so eventually that pressure got to him, and Alan committed suicide. So Brandon Fraser, because of that, lost. Charlie put on a lot of weight, and then that's why like he's big in the movie. And then as he's reconnecting with his daughter, he finds out that his daughter has creative writing talent, but also is sort of isolated from the world and also hates a lot of people. So like through that journey, he kept trying to remind her that she's amazing, she's perfect, she has the capacity to do good, etc., etc., etc. And then we also have a scene of him and his ex-wife having a pretty loving conversation about like what happened all the years, like sort of just reminiscing about the past. And then eventually he refuses to go to the hospital because he wants to save all his money, all his earnings for his daughter. And he dies while his daughter reads her grade 8 essay on the whale to him.
You still have 10 seconds.
Yeah. Did I miss anything? I felt
what specifically happens at the end?
Well, we don't know what specific. He levitates into the light.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, you missed some stuff. So, Sadie Sink's character, Ellie, Charlie's daughter, is really, really cruel and mean to people. She takes pictures of them and says mean comments on Facebook. And
and the missionary thing. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
And she's super cruel to her dad because he left like what was it, like 9 years ago or something. Yeah. And what was I gonna say? So like right around when she shows up the first time, she's like, walk over to me right now, because she knows he can't. And then at the end, he tries to stand up again, and he does walk over to her as she's reading her essay, and then he levitates. I don't know if there's much else I mean, Hong Chau's character Liz is offended by the fact that he has money because he could have used that to save himself.
Yeah, well, there's also a part where the missionary guy, it's revealed he is not part of the church that he says he's a part of, and then Sadie Sink's character records him saying this and like gets a picture of it, and the fact that he actually stole money from like his old church, and he's all like, oh no, I can't go back home because my parents won't accept me and whatever, and she like tracks down his old church and his parents and sends him the stuff, and they reach out to him and say, no, you're good, come home, and then he does go home.
Yeah, yes. I think between the three of us, I think we've nailed it. I think that's all you need to know going into this. Okay, so now that we've done our 2-minute synopsis, we're going to get into our spoiler discussion. So, spoiler warning. Pew, 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 pew.
Fuck, I didn't do it. Shit.
We do things out of order.
Edit that in.
Sure. Anyways, back to the present. Okay. Aidan and I were talking about this when we were leaving the theater, but it's pretty funny for like, or maybe not funny, but like ironic to be watching a movie about a person with like an eating disorder and then just be like munching on popcorn.
yeah. During the eating scenes, I had my drink in my hand and I just put it down and I was like, oh no, never mind.
And I had the opposite reaction. I was just like eating my popcorn. I was like, oh, this is like kind of like funny and like ironic that I'm doing this. But I'm also like pretty hungry right now, so I'm just gonna keep eating my popcorn.
My God.
I'm terrible like that though. Peter, you had a point you wanted to talk about, the illusion of film festivals.
Oh yeah, okay, we want to talk about this now. So I just want to say like how, in like a film fest context where like a very select group of people and like very few reactions sort of like get circulated around the internet, it's very easy to get misled into believing like what's good and what's bad, because like a lot of the films are like the can select, you know, they have that little palm leaf, the little icon thing, and like most of them don't turn out to be that great. Like a lot of them are fantastic, like for example, like for me personally, Triangle of Sadness, I really liked it, and it was like, you know, Cannes film, got that whole ordeal going on. But like, this one is also like another Cannes select, I think. And
which it was Cannes, it wasn't Venice, because I know that like within what you're saying, like Joker, I remember got like an 8-minute standing ovation at Venice, which is fucking insane.
It might be Venice. It might be Venice.
And then I also think Don't Worry Darling got a standing ovation at Venice.
I think it's just wild to see. Like I think like to them it's more about recognizing that, you know, we're all filmmakers, so we appreciate like what you've done here, you know. Instead of saying like, oh, this is a great fucking movie, I'm standing up for this.
I will say the few times I've been to a film festival, it's a different kind of environment, and it almost feels more like personal, like, because you know the people that made the film are like right there, and so you're kind of like closer to it. And
gotcha.
I think I look for things to like more when I'm there instead of looking for things to not that I look for things to dislike when I normally watch a movie, but instead of picking apart the way that I normally do, I think I just appreciate it more.
Yeah. But like I think that's totally fair, and that would explain it, you know, because like for me it's like when I see standing ovation, I automatically associate it with, oh, this movie must be great if people are standing up and clapping for this. And like there's this just huge shock when you actually watch the movie, you're like, okay, this movie is actually not that great. How did it get a standing ovation?
Well, also, I think that
Blonde also went to Venice. So like a lot of movies go there. Just, you know,
it's interesting though that like it's different than like the film festivals I'm talking about are like very small, like little things I've been to. Like it's interesting that in big festivals populated by tons of critics that you get that reaction, but I don't know.
Yeah, they just they stand up in the moment just to rip it apart moments later. It's like 50% terrible movie.
Sure, I think the counting how long or like timing the standing ovation is just like a really weird practice that really has no real world like analog, or like it means nothing. It's meaningless. It never has meant anything, and it's just weird. I think also, I don't know, like I feel like the people who go to those early film festivals, maybe it's kind of the same as like, you know, when like big Disney movies or whatever had a premiere and they invite all the people who are going to say nice things to it. Like it could be like that a little bit. I don't know. Anyways, our next point is The Whale is obviously like a movie that's about fat people. And that's the term that I just want to clarify. That's the term that we've as a group have decided is probably the nicest word. It seems dubious on the internet. What's the correct word? So we're going with fat.
Yeah. If we're wrong, let us know. We're sorry. We're not trying to.
We're sorry either way. But basically, and I don't really want to get into this too much because, like, I don't think we're the right people to talk about this. But I just do want to throw out that The Whale has been mired in controversy. There are many who think it's very offensive. There are many who find it actually a good portrayal.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us have really the right background or, you know, anything to like say which it is. All I have to say is I don't think this is how a fat person would depict themselves. I think that's just what I found.
Yeah. I think that I could totally understand someone thinking this is offensive. I think it's trying at the very least to come from like an empathetic place. Like I don't think it's like some movies where fat people are depicted, it's like it's very much exploitative, or like they're the butt of the joke or whatever. So I
like Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yeah, exactly. Like stuff like that. Like but I think this is just trying to be something more like, and like you said, I don't think I'm the person to decide if it is doing a good job of that or not.
Yeah. I also know that some people find offense in that Brendan Fraser is like they've added like a lot of prosthetic weight, which is also interesting. I don't again, I don't know that we have anything to say about it, but I think it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Now, something interesting that I realized pretty early on is that this does not feel like an Aronofsky movie, like at all. I haven't seen very much of his filmography, but the ones I have seen are the very like volatile ones, Requiem and Black Swan, and this was anything but volatile. It's very subdued and like I don't know, like the cinematography like isn't that bad. Like it's pretty good. Just a little bit uninteresting, I think, as a whole.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, yeah, that was all right. It feels did I already say this? Like it's the A24ification of Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
Because it feels like more of an A24 movie than it does an Aronofsky movie. What did you guys feel that?
I didn't pick up on exactly the A24ification thing, but I did feel like, and I've seen very little of Aronofsky. I've seen the movie Noah, and then I've seen like the first 40 minutes of Mother. And I
didn't even know Noah existed until I started watching YouTube videos to get a sense of his style.
Yeah.
And then I saw the Golems, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" It seems like a very interesting movie.
I couldn't tell you like a thing about Noah because I don't remember much about it. But yeah, in terms of the directing and cinematography, like I liked it a lot of the time, but I agree they could have done more. Like I realized part of the way through, it's like, oh, this is like the same kind of shots like over and over and over and over again, and that's not necessarily a problem, but I don't know, I think in a movie that also isn't doing that much script wise, it's a lot of not doing that much in like every category of filmmaking, and that's a little much. Like there's a, you know what I mean, like it's a lot of like, oh, these singles that are like fairly still. They move a little bit with some characters, and then they'll have like these kind of like shots that are high angle, which were kind of interesting, and then they often will like boom down while tilting as well. And then there's some where it's a bit of an arc and then a bit of a pan, but like it's a lot of like when there's movement, it's shot this way. When there isn't movement, it's shot this way.
It's very lacking in style, I think. It's kind of like they did the coverage that they needed to get the scene filmed, and I didn't really feel like too much artistry or voice to it, I think.
I will say, though, I think that you can shoot something really simply and cover it really simply while it's still being like very impressive. Like, and so one thing that I actually did quite like about this is that I don't remember the term for this, but I remember going over it in like my first year film course, is that an interesting detail was that Brendan Fraser was never able to move out of frame. If I remember this correctly, every other character, there's a moment where they get up and walk and they leave the frame. But in order for us to see Brendan Fraser move, it has to cut. And so it's like he's boxed in, like he's never able to escape what the camera is showing, if that makes sense. Like other characters walk off of, I'm over explaining. Other characters walk off the frame. Brendan Fraser isn't able to do that. Even in like singles, sometimes if a different character is moving, the camera follows them. But in like in Brendan Fraser's signals, the camera tends to follow him a little bit so he can never leave. But then other characters dip out of frame a little bit sometimes, and so that was a nice detail that I liked. Because it's like he's being enclosed in. He lives in this isolated space, and he doesn't have much power anymore.
That's interesting. I actually didn't notice that at all. What was I gonna say? Just like the fact that like a lot of the shots are very similar. There's that one shot that's in the trailer that was also like the poster, the one that's like the only shot the marketing team was given. It seems, of Charlie just going like, like, it's one shot. It's the only shot you've seen about the whale from the promotional materials.
And it is funny. Yeah. No, sorry.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is that like there's so many shots in this that look exactly like that. And I was like, oh, it's the shot. And I was like, wait, is that the shot? And I was like, oh, that's just no, it's just very, very similar. Like
I had that exact moment where I was specifically looking for this moment in the trailer that I was like, this is going to be a good moment in the movie. And I was like, oh, this is it. Oh, no. Oh, this is it. Because it's like, it's a shot that like you see over and over again. And to be perfectly clear, I think you do not have to be flashy with camera work, and you don't have to be like varied, but there are like little subtle things you can do with directing and cinematography to break things up a little bit, and I think this movie could have done a lot more.
And I mean, actually, thinking about that, like, thank God we didn't get like a Requiem style montage.
That would have been
of
bad.
Charlie eating. Like, that would have been probably kind of offensive or like awful. Yeah, I don't know, like, just, well, okay, so what I picked up on, I was looking at those YouTube videos, like I said, like, Aronofsky likes tracking shots a lot, very like intense, like, close-ups and stuff, and it is very interesting that I just find it interesting that I didn't see Aronofsky in this at all. Which, I mean, hey, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It is. It's a weird movie to be added to his filmography, I think. Sure. I don't know if it fits what he goes for usually. Peter, did you find like anything of note there?
Well, like, I've not seen a single film by him actually. And like, to be honest, like, we talked about this sort of like A24cation of him. Like, I just think like A24 has like two styles. One is like this sort of like very mellow type of movie, which I think this sort of belongs to, and then the other one is just absolute batshit crazy type of movie.
I do want to point out though that A24 is often not the production studio, and they're often
like they are
distributing.
Distributor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, I don't think like it's accurate to say like it's A24cation. Like, A24, I guess, like in our eyes, is just like the representation of the best of the indie filmmakers can offer, and like maybe that's why we say it's A24cation. Like,
well, I think some of it. Okay, so they do produce films. I'm just seeing this now.
So they do, but generally they distribute.
This was also produced by A24.
Okay.
And distributed. So this was produced by them. But I do think that, like, also sometimes movies just fit their style.
Sure.
And like might be made in such a way so as to ensure that they'll be distributed by A24 and get that acclaim with it. I'm just
because I think none of the A24 movies are like crazy on the like VFX front, at least. Like, I guess Everything Everywhere All at Once is sort of like an exception, because like usually they are really great at making simple shots work, I think, like, at least like from my A24 experience.
I mean, yeah, I'm just looking at some of the films from this year. So a year in review for A24, and I'm gonna skip over a bunch, but After Yang, I think that fits the Whale vibe-wise. This is just from a vibe sense. X, that's and the batshit. Everything Everywhere All at Once, batshit. Men, batshit. Marcel the Shell fits the vibe. Bodies, batshit. Pearl, batshit. After Sun fits the vibe. Causeway fits the vibe.
Sure.
But yeah, like when I say A24ification, the movie starts off and you immediately notice, oh, were you doing an aspect ratio? I don't know.
Right? Yeah, me too.
And I was like, this is an A24 movie.
Yeah.
Right? And that first shot, I just keep thinking about, like, it's a great first shot, but that's an A24 first shot, if you know what I mean, right? Like, it's
what is the first shot? Can you remember me?
It's a very far away shot from like a hill of a bus pulling in and then a character getting out, and it's super far away, so like it's you can't really see the details, and it's like, this is like the start of an A24 movie.
Yeah, sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like, I don't like I said, I don't mind that. Like, I like that shot, but I just find it interesting. But as we've said, this movie is based on a play, and I think that dictates the style more than anything else.
Yes.
It's clear that there's something about medium and format that dictates what kind of stories can be told.
Absolutely.
And The Whale is clearly created with the play format in mind. It's a one-room play. And then in translating that to the screen, Aronofsky, and as many, people who've done this before in adapting a play, keeps it as a one-room movie, and that doesn't really work almost ever. It's just very limiting visually. it's hard to stay in the same spot for 2 hours and keep that interesting, I think.
I disagree with you on that one. I don't think that that's what the problem of adapting a play is. I think you can keep a single space interesting. I think this movie just doesn't do much to do that. Like we were saying, like it frames almost every single in the entire movie the exact same way. Frame them differently. See what happens. You know what I mean? Like you can play with lighting a little bit. You can do a lot with one space, I think. My problems with this being based on a play are largely dialogue, which I've talked about a little bit already, where it's too much. It's trying to give too much information specifically through dialogue. It's also the blocking of this movie. Like characters feel like they get up in such a staged way, and there are some moments where there's specifically a moment where a character goes to the door and they hold on it and they're just like holding the knob, and I was like, this is so directed. Like this feels like that she was told go Sadie? To the door and hold the handle. That's what it feels like. And I think it feels like a play, like where I think whenever I've watched a play, everything feels staged, obviously, because it's a play. But like in a play, there's less of an illusion of like immersion, of like you're there with them. You know what I mean? Like when you're watching a play, you're always aware you're watching a play. And that's what didn't work for me here, is that I was always aware I was watching a staged, directed action, and I never felt like that made it very hard to connect with the characters, and this movie is banking on you really feeling and getting close with the characters.
Well, I think that's a great point, because I felt like there's something off of the movie when I was watching it, but I couldn't really pinpoint what. I think you just hit it on the head there. Like I think in a play, like different mediums have different methods of capturing the audience, because the play you're in the live environment, and then there's only so much like you can change in terms of the set and the costume and stuff. Like there are limited ways for you to engage with the play, but in a movie you can play with camera angle, where like how the audience is watching it, instead of just like on the characters themselves, right? So I think that's like one of the big gripes I have with the movie, to be honest, is that like when you are translating play to movie, you don't need to, just like film a play per se. Like use the advantages that you have of this being a movie instead of, a play.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen the Death of a Salesman movie?
No, but I did read the play.
It's bad because it's like it's the same thing. It's a filmed play.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's what this movie feels like. It feels like it's in a bardo, if you will, between play and film. Bardo is like synonymous with Limbo, and also is a movie that just came out. Anyways, I was gonna say, Aidan, you were talking about a character who walks to the door. Like Sadie Sink does that like 5 different times in this movie.
I think also the mom does it.
Oh, she does it too.
I think she does it too. Yeah. Like so, it's hereditary. It's just
it's also a movie produced by A24.
Oh yeah.
But like basically, like a character will like storm out and like seem like they're about to leave. Usually, they'll stop like inches in front of the door, as if they were gonna like phase through it, like just walk right through the door, because they're not reaching for the doorknob, so they knew they were gonna stop at the door before going right. Or I think sometimes Sadie Sink will open the door, but like stop, like she's not going out, and it's very clear that she wasn't intending to. It's very silly and very play-like, which is weird because that shouldn't have come across. That's what would happen if a director who usually directs for the stage then tried to direct a movie. That's where I would expect that. Not if a play was being adapted and you had Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah, it's so strange.
I don't know why that is. It's weird. But you did talk about something else that I wanted to talk about. The dialogue. That is something that is clearly from the play.
Yes.
Like a byproduct of it. And it's very strange. You noted that it's a little bit too much exposition and a little bit explainy. My problem was just like the way people talk is so weird. Like I said this to you as we were leaving, but there's this one scene where the pizza man is talking to Charlie, and this is the dialogue they have. Okay, I'm gonna do it for you guys. Okay. So the pizza man says, Dan. And Charlie says, what? And the pizza man says, my name. It's Dan. And like that's not how people talk.
That is very play. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're always setting up like a call and response kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? Like they're purposefully speaking in kind of like abstract or what's the word? Like not misleading, but lacking in clarity. Like they purposefully speak without giving away details. So like instead of saying my name's Dan, by the way, which is how people talk, he's like Dan, like to purposefully throw confusion into the mix. I don't know. It's so strange.
Yeah, to have like a cute little moment, to have like a Sorkin moment. Like
Sorkin would never do that. I don't know.
Sorkin would do that. Yeah, absolutely.
You think?
It would be embellished more. But I guess the reason that comes to mind is because Sorkin was a playwright originally.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't know. I feel like I would expect that more from Martin McDonagh, who's also a playwright. But
sure.
Anyone have any thoughts on that, or?
I've said what I need to say about that.
You said your piece.
Yeah.
Okay. I think also this kind of has to do with dialogue, but I feel like a lot of the movie is characters pontificating about things.
Yeah.
Specifically, like a lot of it is about religion and missionary work and this idea of like being authentic and honest. And I feel like there's more of a focus on delivering the author's viewpoint instead of creating a character and then taking them on an emotional journey. I just found by the end I didn't actually have a good sense of like Charlie and his struggle or any sort of journey he was supposed to be going on. Like his whole, what it seems to be setting up is that he needs to write his daughter's essay and he's going to try and connect with her despite doing this thing that he probably shouldn't be doing. And we don't ever see him try to write the essay or have anything to do with that. We never see, and this is also has to do with my point about it clearly being a play. We never get like flashbacks, which I mean, you don't have to. Some people don't like flashbacks, but I think that would have been maybe a good idea to like.
We get a very brief flashback.
Yeah, we got the ocean flashback.
Yeah, you're right.
It is technically a flashback.
It's technically a flashback, but it's like 2 shots.
Yeah,
and like I was like, that's it. Like you're not gonna do anything else with that. We never get to see Alan, and like sure, there's points to doing that, but I was just like, there's no character journey here. And also, flashbacks would have been great so that we can get out of this fucking apartment for once. I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah, I had the problem of, I also agree that like there were things Charlie did that I didn't get a good sense of, where I felt like it wasn't explored enough. They have these themes, and I feel like they don't explore different avenues of them very much. And then there's certain character moments that didn't make as much sense to me. Like, I didn't really get him walking to his daughter at the end. I get that it's like she's important to him. Well, okay, now that I'm saying it loud, it's like she kind of believes that he doesn't care about her because she has this insecurity because he left, and then it's like, no, look, I'm doing this for you. Okay, I get it. It just went through to my head. But like,
it's like that one's more like a bookmarking. Like, okay, he can't do the thing now.
Yeah, it's like conquering.
And then at the end, we're gonna, instead of doing a character journey, I'm gonna show you the 2 benchmarks. Like, he can't walk now, but at the end, he will push through and walk anyways. He didn't actually like.
That's what felt weird to me.
In the middle.
Okay, right? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, is that there's nothing that like he doesn't even seem to want to walk for like most of the movie. So it's like, why is this something he wants to do? Like, I don't know. And I feel like it's fine to have a character that has a somewhat flat character arc, because I feel like Charlie doesn't have to realize that he thinks his daughter is amazing, and he doesn't have to realize that like, oh no, she's amazing underneath. Like, he knows that from the beginning, and I think that's okay. You can make a character that doesn't have to have a revelation, but instead causes the characters around him to have a revelation. But I feel like all of those were super underdeveloped, except for maybe the daughter, and even that I didn't really feel anything particularly strongly about.
Mm-hmm. Wait, you thought the daughter thing was developed well? I thought that was like the worst part.
I'm saying the daughter is the only character that like really seems to change a little bit, or like undergo some sort of change as a result of her interactions with Charlie.
That's what I'm saying though, because I don't think she did. Is it okay if we get into this right now, or?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay.
I also don't know if she really changes. Like,
Because
I feel like it's a last minute maybe, but
No, I agree. It's not developed well, but I think like think about the other characters. Like, there's nothing.
definitely not.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the only one where there's a little bit of that.
The missionary. The missionary is
Oh,
the only
sure.
one with a proper old
That's true.
fashioned character arc.
That is true.
Peter,
like
sorry, you're gonna say
like
something.
in my opinion, you know how like Charlie frames like the whole, oh, she wasn't trying to expose you, she's trying to just get you home, she's amazing. And it's like, no, like
How
I
many times
really
does he
don't
say
see
that?
that. Like I genuinely think she's trying to fuck the guy over, because that's like,
Oh, really?
based on like what we saw and what we've seen, like that is just her character, you know? Like she,
I disagree with you there.
like I think like in that, like she wasn't trying to help him. She connected with him for a second, but the fact that she sent these things over, I don't think that's what she's expecting, you know?
Yeah, along those lines, I don't. I think she is being mean on purpose. Maybe not to the missionary. So maybe like that's the change. Because like at the beginning with the whole Facebook post, I don't I don't see those as her being nice or honest and just being like having people misconstrue that. Like I think she's actually
Yeah.
just being like an asshole.
No, for sure.
So like I don't know that she does. I think she's like starting to change, but we kind of I don't know. Maybe her reading the essay is her changing.
That's what I mean. Like
Well,
that. Like
no, because I
okay,
thought...
no. Let me go.
Okay.
When we first see that character, she would never have done that. Like that much is true. When we are first introduced to her, she never would have like called him dad, and she never would have read it. I'm not saying it's built up to super well.
Okay.
I don't think it is, but like she does things that when we first see her, she never would have done. And so there's clearly like some semblance of an arc there.
Okay, I think that's fair.
I actually think like him dying at the end completely undermines that, because like humans act differently according to the context and scenarios that we're in, and the fact that, you know, she thinks that she's supposed to, you know, be nice to him because it's a dying man in front of her that clearly loves her,
But she doesn't
like,
care. Sorry.
But I genuinely think that at the end it was really forced and sort of undermines the movie a bit, because like the whole movie is about you're supposed we're in an era where it's really difficult to be authentic, but at the end, because the moment doesn't feel earned, it actually feels really inauthentic for her to do that thing for her dad, where like you don't really see like the growth, you just see like the big jump at the end, and that big jump just makes you think that this, instead of being like her realizing that I have this loving father in front of me, it's more like, oh shit, this person's dying, he's supposed to be my dad, I better do something nice, you know? Like that's how I felt.
I disagree with you there. I think that the point of this movie, and this is also one of the reasons why the writing winds up being underdeveloped, because they didn't figure out how to weave this properly. The point of this movie is that people cannot help but care for each other. It is so deeply ingrained.
That's okay. If it's explained that way, then it works.
It is so deeply ingrained in us that even though we are hurt, and even though we feel like people don't care about us, which leads to inauthenticity, we cannot escape the fact that we care.
I really like that.
We cannot. Right. Let me finish. We cannot escape the fact that we care about each other. So I think what the end is supposed to be is she finally is able to strip away some of the inauthenticity, because it's, and I think the reason is we don't really know like why. Why is she doing that in this point? Is it just because he's dying? But he's been dying the whole time. So like what? Like I don't know. I think that's a little silly, but like that's what the point of it is. Like the reason she's an asshole and the reason she like pretends she doesn't care is because her dad left her, and so she doesn't think people care about her. But regardless, she still cares about people.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to just sum it all together, because like we see similar moments throughout the movie, right? Just like the whole door thing we mentioned, it's about like how people, it's like your people can't help but care for, you know, Charlie, right? Mm-hmm. Like instead of just rushing out the door, they come back, you know, Like we see that in Liz, we see that in his wife. That's a good way to.
The missionary too. One of the things I liked. Sorry, Alex. I'll make this quick. But one of the things I did like about this movie is that I think people show care in different ways. I think if you think about the ways that the nurse cares for the daughter, the missionary, a lot of it is just like being there for Charlie, but like specifically the way that they interact with him, I thought there was some differentiation there, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But Alex, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I think when you say I keep calling her Sadie. Ellie has to strip away the layers of inauthenticity. Like that's just another way of saying coping mechanisms, basically. She's put up these barriers because her dad left her, and it's made her into kind of like, I don't know, like she feels like she needs to like insult people, or I don't know. She's a very interesting character, and more interesting than Charlie for sure. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that fuck, what was I gonna say? You said something and it triggered something.
Peter actually has a point that he'd like to make.
No.
Fine, I'll read it out. So Peter, in our chat here, in our little, what do you call this, Zoom platform, has decided to type into the group chat, "I take away your disguise."
Oh my god, I did the accent!
For Love and Thunder. Thank you. Yes, that's very much.
Dude, that just reminds me of that line for some reason. And you actually did the accent. Holy
I actually did do the accent.
The other point I did want to make is that I feel like this gets in the way of writing is because the characters are almost designed in such a way that they don't change, other than they're just kind of revealed.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah,
that's what the point is that it's supposed to just be revealed at the end that they all care about each other, and that's what I think that's what all of their arcs are supposed to be, that more or less in the end. And the writer didn't figure out how to make it still feel like they
meaningful.
were like they were learning things, and like it took several steps for them to get to that point.
I think, but like if we lean from your point, which is that, regardless of who you are, you have this ability to care, and like you are sort of like, you are unable to not care for people, and like the whole point is, I guess, like even though they don't change as people, they are sort of revealed to still care for each other. And like if they change, then we can credit this sort of caring towards the change instead of this sort of like fundamental human condition. And like I guess like if this point, if that's like what the movie is trying to say, then you can't let the characters change.
Yeah. Which I don't think is a problem. You can still write that well. Like a revelation can still be an interesting character arc where it's just like you're just uncovering something that's always been there. But
yeah, absolutely.
I just don't think it's developed well.
Yeah, I think we're gonna move on from this point.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what you guys think, but for the I don't know, first half especially, I feel like the characters are written to be so unnecessarily cruel to Charlie, and just say the most mean things. Sadie, obviously, but even Hong Chau's character Liz is just she's not that nice. She says some mean things. I don't know, just some of her comments are why are you saying that?
Well, I don't know. I did understand the point of she's frustrated and annoyed by him, which she says out loud, and she shouldn't, but she says this out loud because she cares about him, and he's hurting, and he's not doing anything to ameliorate his condition. And so it's I understand. I think it's not written well because it's that's not necessary. I don't think that's how that frustration would get expressed, but I think that's the reason why it's there. But I might agree with you that I think it's overboard sometimes where it's okay, that's, and I think what I really didn't like, there are moments where she switches like that. She says something super fucking mean, and then the next moment they're cuddling, and it's Liz, yeah, and it's I don't know about that one.
Yeah. What else is there to say about this movie? There's no way to segue this. Sadie writes a haiku, or Ellie writes a haiku That was probably like the first moment of the movie that I was like, oh, I like this.
I really liked that moment. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Did you guys pick up on it before he did?
I didn't. I didn't. It wasn't until he reread it, and then the moment he put like one finger up, I was like, oh, okay.
But somehow I was like, oh, that's a fucking haiku. Like I was like, I was furiously counting in the theater. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get it before he does. It's very Hunt for the Wilder People.
I like that movie.
I love that movie. They do that joke better, but I don't know. Again, with like the writing thing, like I wish that was more of the story. Yeah. You know, make Sadie write, make him write.
Yes,
that would be great. Talking about writing, and then they just don't.
If we saw more of Sadie's writing, that would have been such a good. Plot device to right. Or character device to learn more about her. But yeah,
instead it's just like 2 hours of people yelling at Charlie to stop. To go to the fucking hospital.
Yeah, it's not to like stop like eating as much or change, like it's literally just go to the hospital, and there's like not.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sadie is also evil on Facebook, which I found very funny.
Yeah, she's very evil on Facebook.
Like I mean, we know that this is taking place at least 2016, probably closer to 2015, or maybe it's
if
no, it could be 2012, but
if she's a high schooler on Facebook, this has got to be like a decade ago.
Well, that's not what I'm basing it on. It was the news feed, Fox News.
Yeah, he was talking about Ted Cruz and
isn't Trump on there? And they're talking
Trump was
about
in there.
Like the election. So I was like, this is like 2015 or 2014.
And
I don't think kids were on Facebook.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I did pick up that is too late for a 17-year-old to be on Facebook. Yeah,
at least
or for it to be her main like social media thing. Yeah, that's too late.
Like that's Instagram, baby. Like that's where you're posting your edgy photos. Like I don't know why we were doing Facebook.
Absolutely, or they could have done I think that's like the Ask FM era, is it not? Like do that shit.
I don't even remember that. Oh god, that was a while ago. But yeah, that's just a funny detail. This actually, well, while we're on the Fox News, I feel like that was kind of interesting that they put that on there. I think because they're definitely like they mentioned Trump, don't they? I feel like
they do. They do.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be sure. I feel like that ties into the kind of like inauthenticity and helping thing. Like I think it's the idea that that kind of person is pretending like they're helping, but it's like inauthentic help, right? Like it's actually for personal gain. Yeah. When the working class people like who do vote that way often think that they are being helped. And that's why. So I like how that actually does really tie into the themes.
I agree with you there, and I also saw it as like it's kind of like one of the reasons people like become inauthentic, or maybe that's not the best word to use, but like one of the reasons that people like put up defense mechanisms is like this fear of impending doom of the world, and so it's like you watch the election and like that just makes you anxious because it's like psychopath versus like war criminal, and I gotta vote for one of them. I think that it also tied in that
way. Okay, that reminds me of White Noise.
Wait, isn't that just New Life Church? The impending doom of the world.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It also tied it. It also, I think, the religious ideas of like the apocalypse also tied in that way.
Yeah. Let's talk about the missionary and religion in New Life. I think this is kind of jumping around, but I really like that. Despite that it's mean, the fact that what's his name? Do we have a name for the missionary? What's his actual
name?
Thomas?
Yep.
I do have. Oh yeah, he is Thomas. Okay. I like the idea that Thomas, despite being a missionary and despite wanting to help people, has not actually changed his opinions, his religious opinions. So like he still thinks that Charlie is a monster, not because he's fat, but because he's gay, right? Yeah. Like I was like, oh shit, we're actually doing this. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay, yeah, let's explore this. So I was kind of like pleasantly surprised, like, oh, you're actually going to acknowledge that. That's interesting. Yeah. I almost found that, like Sadie, like the most interesting characters in this movie are not Charlie, which fair enough. Like you don't have to have the main character be the most interesting, but there's a hidden complexity there.
Yeah.
In that character.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like he thinks that what he's doing is caring for him, when he's like trying to save him. Like, and that's what I mean by like people show it in different ways. And it's coming from this like base urge to care, but then there are external things like religion and impending doom of the world and fears and anxieties and being hurt yourself that make it come out in different ways. And I that was a part of the movie I liked.
Yeah, it's like it's care with not rules, but like I can't think of the word, but like you only get the care and the help if you
conditional.
That's exactly it. It's conditional care.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually pretty interesting. Again, doesn't I think every time we talk about the themes of this movie, we're just gonna say like, I wish they had explored it better or more, but it's interesting, Peter, did you have any thoughts about the religious aspect?
I just thought like it's interesting how like if we look at the main characters, religion sort of ties all of them together, I guess, except for Charlie's family, like his lover.
Main cast, it doesn't.
Just was like half the characters.
well, I was more thinking
the other two characters are Liz and the missionary.
I was more thinking the missionary, Liz and Liz's family, and then Charlie.
Sure, I guess
that, like in that way. But I think like Alan is actually like a very interesting case where like where like you've been devoted to this religion, this sort of like model follower almost for a long time. Then you discover that hey, actually like some of my core values are fundamentally against the religion. And so you just have this huge identity crisis on what to do, Like I wish like there's a little more context or like a little more story on what like Alan was going through, because I feel like that's very interesting. Where like like being like a gay man in a religious family, like how do you reconcile with that? And like
I think that's an interesting point, and I think I would have liked it not if they dived into Alan a bit more, but they talked about Charlie's relationship with religion a little bit more. I think that would have been an interesting way to flesh out those ideas. And again, like they don't really that much. Like he's held on to the Bible, you know what I mean? And was it because he loved a man who was religious and it was important to him, so it's important to Charlie? Like is it stuff like that? But I feel like we're not given enough to really chew on there. And again, like you said, Alex, this is what we say about like every part of this film, where it's just it's not explored that much.
And then there's also the highlighted paragraph in the Bible talking about how like when you strip away the flesh, you can ascend, this sort of thing. I think like I still really don't really understand. Like I guess like one aspect is sort of like this physical limitation that Charlie's in, but also like it's highlighted by Alan, this paragraph.
It's sins of the flesh is the gay stuff, I think.
Oh, okay. That's
because the human, it's the what a way to describe it. But it's like because that comes out when Charlie and Thomas are arguing, right? Like that comes back, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
And that's when it becomes clear, like, oh, it's not that you think that it's because Charlie's fat, it's because he was gay or is gay, like I don't know. What else can we talk about? There's a bird.
There's a bird
in this movie.
Another thing where I was like, so
what was the fucking point?
He's like a nice guy. Charlie's
okay,
like a nice guy.
Honestly, I really like the bird.
Really? What was the broken plate about? That's my question.
Yeah, I have no idea what the broken plate is about.
Good. Okay,
like,
so we just don't know.
we see like multiple points of the movie Charlie's inability to care for himself, like whether it's making healthy decisions or just like like this sort of like mental conflicts that he's constantly in. Like, should I just say fuck it and just like eat whatever I want, however I want, or like I really like the one scene where he pull out the drawer and then he reaches to a chocolate bar and then he opens the wrapping and then he throws the bar back in and pushes the drawer in. But then later on, he sort of realizes like, I don't have that many days to live, so pulls out the bar and start indulging in the chocolates. But then, like, despite like he's in such a condition where he is unable to care for himself, and that literally results in his like impending death, he still is able to sort of care for a creature in nature, you know, like an animal. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I feel like we're in icy territory. I think he can. Yeah, I think he's able to care for himself. I think it's more that he just hasn't been looking after himself. Like he's always thinking about other people before he thinks of himself. Like he's not going to spend money on himself to help him. He's going to save that money for his daughter instead.
And I think there's something to be said about, like, I think he's disgusted by himself, and I don't think because of his weight. I think because of, like, decisions he's made and because of, like, people he's let down. And I actually thought that was kind of, like, a thing that's fairly subtly explored, like, because he keeps asking people, like, are you disgusted by me? And I think part of that is asking for honesty. Like, he wants them to be honest, like, because a lot, like, people in general are fat phobic, and I think he, like, knows that. And so it's like he's asking people, like, and he knows that a lot of people that see him are like have some disgust for him just because of that. But I think that it is also, like, it is an internal thing that because of how he left his family and how his daughter's grown up, like, he has a bit of self-disgust just because of the decisions he's made.
Actually, yeah, no, I think that's one of the few things the movie explores well, is the idea that he feels like a monster because of the fact that he left his family. And I don't have much more of a point than that, I guess. But
I do like the way that was played out as well.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my points. I think, let's jump into this. Oscar moments. Like I said, I think this is an Oscar bait movie, and I think what this movie is a couple of scenes that are meant to create clips that will be played before, Brendan Fraser for Best Actor, and then it plays those particular clips from the movies.
Sure.
Like, can you guys remember which ones they are? It's the I want to do one last thing, one good thing. I need to know I did one good thing in my life before I die. Like, there's that one.
Well, there's also the conversation with his wife where he's talking about, like, people are amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Which I actually do like that moment a lot. I very much like the way Brendan Fraser plays that moment, and I actually like the way that moment is written. I don't like that it's in the trailer because you know that it's coming, but I think it is an Oscar.
I mean, I think Brendan Fraser's great in this. I think most of the cast are doing a great job. But I do feel like the scenes are a little contrived and for your consideration. I feel like the whole movie sets that up. It's the what'd you call it? The Brendan Fraser Renaissance.
The Renaissance.
Renaissance. Yeah. Like, that's
which I'm generally on board with.
He's a cool guy and he's deserving of it for sure. I mean,
Dude, also, I'm just very happy that Hong Chau is getting the recognition that she's getting. Like, she's getting to mainstream. You know, I've liked her since she's been the Watchmen, and then this. She was Lady Chu.
What do you know her from? Because I don't even know.
Yeah, she was Lady Chu in Watchmen, which is fantastic. And then this year she has like 2 mainstream movies out. Well, I guess The Whale is not really mainstream. This and The Menu. So
she was in the third thing, right?
It was I think it's coming out in 2023. So, like, but it's the Kelly Reichardt movie. She's also in that.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, I think it. It's one of those tricky things where it's like it's listed as a 2022 movie, but won't actually.
It's not out yet, right? She's
Um,
also in Asteroid City with Wes Anderson. That's crazy.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Anyways, the movie ends, and what's his name? Brendan Fraser ascends to the heaven.
And then we dip to white, and then he's at the beach with Ellie as a kid.
Oh, did that happen? I might have forgotten.
You don't remember? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I started laughing when he started descending. I was like, seriously?
Yeah.
This is how we're ending?
That is a cornball ending.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I was like, this is so fucking silly. And then, like Darren Aronofsky. It feels like
I thought that was really funny when his name appears. I was like, oh, I was not expecting the movie to end at that point. I was like aware of the time, and I was like, it's gotta end soon. Yeah. And I did. I don't remember what it was, but I did recognize a plot point that was leading up to the end, where I was like, oh, okay, this is like, the argument between him and the mother. I think like that's like a big like
Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay. And then so now but that was like one of the only ones I'm bad at it, but those are the only ones I picked out. And so I was like really surprised that was how it ended.
I was I think I was counting the time too, and I was like, hey, when is this over? I wasn't enjoying myself, but when it was ending, I was like, okay, this is the end. I know it, but like this is also so fucking silly. Peter, did you find that?
Well, like it's more like I was hoping to get more out of the ending than that, because like I feel like we talk about jumps in character development, and also like I just felt like the final moment again, it's not earned, like it's just
it's not at all
like like there's just something missing, man. Like it just doesn't feel good to end it on that note.
There's a lot of something's missing.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's how I feel.
I'm with you.
We've been talking about this the whole pod, but any other thoughts about like what's this film trying to say about helping and honesty and whatnot? Do you guys have a thesis?
Yeah, I mean, I've already said like it's like people are incapable of not caring. It's like a deeply ingrained thing, and I do want to say like I like that theme and I like a theory. I think I like it because I just agree with it. Like it's something that rings true to me. But like I wish it did more with it. But yeah, I feel like I've talked a lot about what I think the thesis of the movie is. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I want to. I want to touch on authenticity a little more. I think like it's very fitting that we're getting like I wish the movie could have done more, but like this theme is so interesting. We sort of touched on this movie touched on like many like small areas of inauthenticity. So like this sort of like being inauthentic on social media, being inauthentic in like a classroom, whether like like you can't see Charlie's face, so you don't really know like who he really is.
Yeah.
And then and then also like being inauthentic towards people, right? Like sort of people trying to make you feel better, so they, instead of telling you what they really think, they tell you what you want to hear instead, or like what they think you want to hear. And I think like this movie like had some very interesting interaction that touches on these points, but and I think like it's very relevant to us like in the 21st century in 2022 to talk about that, because I feel like a lot of us live in this sort of like state of ignorance and choose to be inauthentic instead of authentic. Like things I can think of is just like, for example, news. Like like news can be pretty depressing. Like so, a lot of us choose not to watch the news. And like and also like Alex would be pretty passionate about this, but like climate change, a lot of us choose to just like ignore this thing that's going on. Like we know of it, but we don't choose to really do anything significant to tackle it. And like in this movie, I just thought like Charlie's the sort of like journey through like trying to convince his students to, instead of write about what your teacher wants to see, write being honest, be yourself, and then eventually coming to this huge climax where he's revealed himself to his students, that he's in this sort of zone that he's comfortable with to talk to his students about who he really is, to sort of like not to be the one preaching about authenticity, and to actually be authentic himself as well. Like that's like the one thing I really liked about the movie, and I thought it was done well. But again, I want to see more of that. So
I didn't like that part of the movie very much. How you go?
Oh, you mean when he turns on his Zoom camera?
I think that you go. I'll say my piece after.
Okay. Yeah, I don't some of your examples, I don't know if those are exactly like being authentic, like climate change. That's more like
well, like
more
I think
that's more like Don't Look Up, like the ostrich effect. Like I'd rather stick my
yeah,
head
I
in the
think like
sand. That's not the same thing
authenticity
though.
and
That's not what this
ignorance
movie
are
is.
related though.
Sure.
Like
That's not what this movie is at all, I don't think. It's not ignorance.
because I feel like a lot of people choose to like instead of like address Brendan like I feel like in this movie a lot of people instead of choose to address Charlie's problem they just choose to live ignoring that he has these problems, you know.
That
Like
connects to what I'll say. So like I was gonna say that helping people without being honest is something that's displayed as being not great in this movie, right?
yeah,
It's in some cases maybe it's enabling, in other cases it's maybe just not truly helpful if you're not being honest. So like I don't know. Oh, what was I going to say? Ellie, right? She's being fully honest, maybe too much so, but you know, like Brendan Fraser sees that as being more helpful. Um, there's one might say that like Liz is kind of like enabling Charlie in some ways. Like she's like, you know, I don't know. It's tough to say in that
Yeah,
case. I don't know
I
if
will
you would
say,
say
like,
that.
to be fair, like, my understanding of like issues like this is that just like cold turkey doesn't work.
Oh yeah, we
Like,
talked about this. Yeah,
yeah, like you can't just be like, I'm not gonna get you pizza anymore. Like that's
yeah.
not like that's just not
Like that's
realistic.
and it's cruel too. Like
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
that's the right way to go about things either. Um, but like I don't know. Also, like the missionary, like he's not honest about his
Mhm.
values and his opinions, and that's not really helpful. His idea of help, and I don't know. I think there's something to be said there.
well
Um,
we see like couple like several examples throughout the movie where people start like you know inauthentic dishonest and then goes to a place of honesty and authenticity towards the end, right? Because
I
like
think a little bit.
the
Yeah.
missionary reveals like what actually happened. Charlie turns on his Zoom camera.
Yeah.
Charlie to Liz revealing that he actually has money. You know, like I feel like it's a big part of the movie. But I really like how you said this movie frames that um, sometimes um, like kindness disguised. Sorry, not disguised, but like you say dishonest things because kindness. The
mm,
movie puts that in a bad light, and that's really interesting because that's not always the case. But I guess like in this movie specifically, you know, it's portrayed as bad.
Yeah. The thing I want to say is that like specifically like aside from the ending, I think that the moment Brendan Fraser turns on his webcam is the second most corny moment
no,
in
you're right.
this
You're right.
entire
I'm
movie.
thinking about it right
It's
now. Yeah.
so like, and my friend Ben, who I saw this with, like pointed it out, where he was like, the characters, and this is an audio only podcast, but the characters, like the people in the class go like,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
they like cover their mouths, one of them like drops their pen, and it's like, what the what?
Did you see
Like,
the one person like have their phone
yeah,
come in? Like their phone pops up in
yeah,
the feed and like they're trying
yeah.
to be subtle about it, but they're obviously taking pictures.
Oh
People are
yeah,
like that though, so like that's fair.
that reaction's fine, but like characters like people are so tuned out of online class in real life, and like if
The
the
fact that
if
they
the
all had
prof
their cameras
yeah, if
on, I
the
was like,
prof had his
no
webcam
fucking
off, there'd be
way.
maybe one person with their camera
Yeah.
on, and but I was like, even if you're ignoring that, like the way the characters react to that, they're like, holy shit, what? And then he like throws his entire laptop.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, man.
I, it's strange. Like that would be such a good point about being authentic and honest or whatever is to have a class full of people with their cameras off,
Yeah.
right? And for the prof to be like, "Come on, guys, turn on your camera or whatever," right?
And
Like,
I actually think that it's arguably a more powerful moment if they have all their cameras off and he turns it on.
yeah.
Like I think you have to play it a little differently to make it feel like it's something, but yeah.
It's a weird moment. Last thing I want to talk about for this movie is there's clearly some like nods to Moby Dick,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering if you guys Like I picked up on something, and I think I've decided what it means to me. But like, what did you guys think?
I felt like, so the part that they keep talking about is that like she liked in the essay where Ellie from 8th grade is talking about Moby Dick. She's like, the part I liked the most is the chapters where the author is just describing a whale, and it's like it's because he wants to save us from his sad story. And I took that as like Brendan Fraser finds that significant because it's like he sees that as Ellie understanding him a little bit. Like he left them, and I think she is like deep down somewhere she's understanding this as like he is like trying to save them from himself and from like the problems he has, because you know, like he's made a lot of bad decisions and he's done a lot of things, and I think that like Brendan Fraser Charlie sees that as reassurance that like she's again very smart and was like able to understand in some way the decision of Charlie to like not be with his family as much, even though it wasn't completely up to his choice, but he could have done more. And that's how I saw it.
Peter, do you have any ideas?
I didn't really like read that deep into it, to be honest. I just thought like it's lovely that, you know, she's, because I think it's explained that essay is from grade 8, that she's able to sort of convey like what she actually thinks is a book, instead of just like, oh, through simile, through metaphor, the author is trying to do this, do that. You know, it's like it's different from like a typical essay, and that's sort of like what I picked up on. And I think like the reason why this is so significant to Charlie, I didn't really read into that much like how that connects the family and all that. It's really just he appreciates authenticity, and like being able to like think of something authentic, or like knowing that his daughter is authentic before he dies is sort of like important to him.
Also, that his daughter is like empathetic. I think that also shows that like his daughter has empathy, and like, I think that that's one of the also reasons that it's really important to him.
The thing that keeps coming back to me, I don't think it's random that the book is Moby Dick. I mean, the movie is also called, the book, I should note, is called Moby Dick, and it's also known as The Whale. Sometimes the book is called The Whale.
Oh, really?
And so the fact that the movie is then called The Whale, like it's clearly like that's on, and the play was called that. Like, I think that on top of what you guys are saying, I think maybe there's a bit of a connection between, say, Ellie and Ahab, who is in the book, if you don't know, is the crazy captain who's like obsessed with hunting the whale for revenge. I feel like that's Ellie's story, right?
Yeah, that's great.
To hunt
that's the connection there.
You know, creature is what I'm gonna say, but like I mean, like the whale, right? Like this peaceful creature who, I don't know, hurt her just because of their nature, I guess. I don't know, like kind of a weird metaphor here, but like, you know, it's just like here's a character obsessed with revenge because they were hurt, right? And I feel like I think there's a parallel there that
if I had read Moby Dick, I think I would have picked up on that and agreed with you too. Yeah.
I haven't read it. I just like I looked into the plot to see if there was anything more than that, but even without looking at it, I was kind of like, yeah, isn't the captain like just obsessed? And like, yeah, that's basically it.
Sure.
So I think, do you guys have anything else to say? Because
I said my piece. One might say.
Yeah, I'm all whaled out. We've had a whale of a time.
Yeah. Hey.
Really bad. Hey. Anyways, we have a segment.
We do have a segment. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this podcast is called Predator versus Movies. And we've done the movie part, so it's time to get into the Predator. This is a segment where we ask, would this movie be improved upon if we included the Predator from the movie Predator? What do you guys think?
Maybe. I don't know. This movie was so boring. Like, I think maybe spice it up with a Predator wouldn't be a terrible thing.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't find it that boring, but Like I don't know. I don't know where Predator would fit in. They're watching Predator on TV. Oh, yeah. And it's like a parallel with the Moby Dick thing where they're predators hunting and the predator hurt them and then it's out of revenge and they yep.
There you go. That's a connection. You got a little digitized there for a second for the two of us. Like you started going all robot on us, but I don't know if that'll come through in the recording. Yeah, I don't have any other like. Nope. That's about it. Maybe predators can't help but be kind to one another and care.
Predators is explored as the inverse of humans, where it's like he can't help but to hunt and kill, and like that's his nature.
No, my favorite parts of Predator are where they described the predators because it distracted from the Arnold Schwarzenegger's sad story. I don't know. I'm really
really stretching it there, man.
So I don't know. I think our take is maybe it would have been something.
Would have been something.
Maybe he broke the plate.
Hey,
we never solved that puzzle.
Oh, true.
Who broke the plate? True. What broke the plate? I'm very puzzled by that. I don't know what that had to do with anything, frankly. But Peter, we have another segment.
We do. So let's talk about our Predators picks. Woo-hoo. What have you guys watched in the past week?
Aidan, let's hear from you.
So I have a shit ton this week. I have so many because it's been a while since we watched it, and I've been watching a movie almost every day. So I'll do them fairly rapid fire.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are we gonna do? We're gonna
keep it brief. Yeah,
keep it brief.
I won't pull a Ryan. Fucking roasted Ryan.
Hey Ryan, if you're listening.
Okay, I forget. Just so I know, like the starting point, did I talk about Banshees last time we did this?
Yes, you
did.
And I did talk about Decision to Leave too, right?
You did.
Okay, yeah. So then the first thing I'll start with is I watched Elvis, which I fucking hated. I thought it was shit. I have seen Baz Luhrmann movies before. I'm a big fan of his Romeo and Juliet. I think it's wild and fun. I don't think his style worked at all in this movie. I think that I unironically think this movie is trying to make the point that Elvis played a pivotal role in ending segregation, which is so fucking absurd. And it's like shut the fuck up. There were multiple times where out loud, I was watching this movie in my living room by myself. I said, "Shut the fuck up!" Like just like what the like. I didn't care. There were so many problems with the movie. But yeah. Anyway, I also watched RRR. Which was fucking bad shit crazy. I thought it was really fun. One of the things I really liked about it is that the characters feel like they're like superhuman all of the time. And I was literally thinking like, even though these are technically just dudes, like they feel like they're more powerful than like MCU characters. You know what I mean? Like,
that was in my review. I wrote down a letterbox.
One of the things that I really liked is that like every single punch from these guys, everything they do feels so powerful. Like they feel like they're gods among men every time they do something. And so I like that a lot. I liked that the action was really creative and I thought it was really fun. And yeah, it's a really fun blockbuster. I'd recommend it for sure. I also watched Babylon. And so this was a movie that is not, Alex and I watched this together. And so there's probably a little bit of the osmosis happening there. We'll see when you talk about it. But so I felt like this movie was not reviewed super well. I actually really, really enjoyed it. For the most part, there are definitely flaws. There are some criticisms of it that I don't like. Like I've heard people saying like it's his attempt at like a Scorsese film, and it's like,
no, it's not.
What the fuck? What are you talking? Close. It's like Scorsese doesn't have a patent on debauchery in film. Like, what are you talking? I hate that shit. But like, and like I don't know. There are moments that I think like the scenes don't want too long. People are saying it's messy. It's like it drags, but it's a fairly tight story from beginning to end. It's like it's not all over the place. I think it's wrong to say that this movie is all over the place.
I think they just mean like a lot happens in the 3 hours, and there's a lot of characters we're following because it's Damien Chazelle's first ensemble film. So I think maybe people aren't used to that with his style. Maybe,
Yeah. I think this movie was marketed badly. I want to say that too. I think that they should have marketed this as, from the director of La La Land, this is like a love story between Margot Robbie and this guy. Like, I forget the actor's name. I think that comes way better, and I think that it is a significant part of the movie. So you're not even lying. Like that, their relationship is a driving force in that movie. So I don't think that's crazy to say. But yeah, what are you gonna say, Alex?
Yeah, the actor's Diego Calva. He's the lead.
Okay.
He's great, by the way.
Yeah, he is great.
I'll just get my Babylon thing out.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say, I think the performances are fucking incredible. I love Margot Robbie in this movie. I think Brad Pitt is great in this movie. Sorry, what's the lead's name?
Diego Calva.
Diego Calva is great in this movie. There are particular moments I think are great. There's a monologue that a character delivers to Brad Pitt's character about over halfway through. So good. And there's so many moments in the movie that are like legitimately incredible that I think that people are reviewing this a little too harshly. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Alex?
No, I completely agree. I just want to tag my review in here while we're, keep it clumped together.
Yeah.
While I don't agree with every creative decision made, like there's definitely a couple things that I take
towards
issue
the
with,
end too.
particularly the last 5 minutes. I also think that it's been reviewed over harshly, and marketed terribly. It's always going to have an issue, just the fact that it's an R-rated movie that's over 3 hours. That's for cinema enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Like for each of those things, you're just like, getting like audience demographics out of here.
Away.
Yeah, like it's difficult. You're just gonna have a tough time. Old people who would kind of flock to like this kind of movie just aren't gonna go if it's R-rated and 3 hours.
Yeah,
like those are kind of the things that you don't really want to mix a lot of the time. I think there's some really phenomenal moments. There's one with one of the non-main cast. I want to know his name because I don't want to describe it too much without getting into spoilers. Looking up his name. Oh my god, come on, make this easier for me. Oh, his name is his character's name is Sidney Palmer. He's played by Jovan Adepo.
Yeah.
There's a scene with him and Diego with I can't describe it, but like basically like
does it have to do with his band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like in the movies.
Yeah.
And like it's a tough decision. How about that?
Yeah.
That scene was really great.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of scenes that are so good. I said that in my review, like that the comparisons to Scorsese are strange. I don't know why people are saying that.
I think it's fucking I think that is just people being straight up stupid. Like I don't like
No, because I was like, that's wrong. Yeah. But this is very reminiscent of Boogie Nights.
Yes, very much. I agree with the Boogie Nights comparison, 100%. Yeah.
And like after I wrote that, I always write my reviews in a bubble. Like I won't read reviews until I've written mine. Yeah. And then I started looking at others, and like I was like, oh, Boogie Nights. Yeah. Okay, I was not the only one for that. Yeah, I really do want to watch that again though.
Yeah.
And I think that says more about it than anything else. I think we will do a pod on it maybe in January.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would rank it in Chazelle's. It might be my least favorite of his. It's it's a toss up between that and First Man, but
sure. But I think in an impressive filmography, that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah. I would still say that Chazelle hasn't missed yet. I think that still applies.
But anyway, going on with my Predators picks, I also watched Howl's Moving Castle on Christmas Eve, I think. I might have seen this movie when I was a kid, but I can remember it. Really, really fun, really cute. I liked this movie a lot. I don't know that much to say about it. It's a nice movie. I like that it's like a nice world that you just get to be in, and I think it's really nice. I also watched the Spike Lee movie Inside Man, which I did not like.
I don't like that either. Yeah.
And I didn't think it aged well. It feels so much like a corny 2000s action movie. It's like the dialogue is like, oh my god, like it's like Jesus Christ. It doesn't feel like a Spike Lee movie except for like a couple shots which feel so misplaced. Like what he finally does, he kind of starts with the Spike Lee dolly shot, but then he doesn't do anything like that for most of the movie, and then there is a shot where he does it near the end, and it's so funny because it's just out of nowhere in the context of the rest of the movie. You know what shot I'm talking about, right? When the characters,
I saw it so long ago.
but it's like the Spike Lee shot is like the character is on the dolly and the camera is too, and so the character's like floating forward. You know what I mean? Yeah, he does in a lot of his movies.
Was that Washington Denzel? Was that Denzel who does it? I don't remember that.
It was.
No, I know the shot you mean. Yeah.
I didn't like this movie, but don't have that much to say about it. I also watched Eraserhead for the first time. Movie I loved. I thought this was very, very good, very insane, kind of thing that's right up my alley. I also watched the movie Ambulance by Michael Bay that came out this year, which was a crazy movie. Like the way this is filmed, there are multiple shots where I laughed just because of how insane the shot was. Like there's drone shot. Like I think like 80% of this movie is shot on drones. Even interior scenes sometimes are shot on drones, which is so funny. But like there are multiple shots where a drone will be like looking at a building and then go up and do a 360 and then dive bomb and then, and then it cuts away before anything pays off. So it's like, what the hell did I just watch? But it was insane and fun. I actually did like it. I liked watching it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I also watched. I liked this movie more than The Whale, to be honest with you. I also watched a movie that has also been not getting very good reviews, Bardo, which I loved. I thought this was a great movie. I knew
you would. Yeah.
This is another right up my alley movie. I thought that its exploration of its themes were really interesting. I wrote this in my Letterboxd review that I really don't like one of the criticisms I've been hearing about it, which is that it's super self-indulgent, and it's like if I think that's a fair criticism if the movie is something that nobody else could care about because it's just about you and it's just like a person kind of pitying themselves about their own problems. But I think that this movie, Inarritu does a really good job of connecting this to like real world things that people experience. I felt very touched by this movie. I watched this with my parents, and my dad felt very touched by this movie. And my dad is not, in fact, a Mexican filmmaker. Like, so yeah. I really enjoyed this movie. There were a couple things with some of the visual style that I actually didn't like a couple times, but it was whatever. And then the very last thing I watched is After Yang, which I very much enjoyed. I thought it was a very pretty little movie. It was, and I mean pretty both visually and like narratively, like what it's saying, and I thought it was a very touching movie. I would watch it again. And I didn't watch it in the best circumstances. It was in a hotel TV with a laptop hooked up to it through an HDMI cord. Okay. And so the sound wasn't great either. So I would like to watch this again. I think I would like it even more in better settings. But sorry, I rambled a lot. Those were my Predators picks. That was everything I watched.
Fair enough. Peter, what have you been watching?
Well, mine's nice, short, and sweet. I've only seen one thing this past week, and it's Decision to Leave. Right. I actually thought I didn't watch this week until I checked my Letterboxd. Okay, well, I did watch this week. So after I watched it, I had a quick discussion with Alex. Movie's crazy. It's an insane movie. We were just talking about how like the first case was set up very well, and like like it's sort of like right up your alley, Aidan, on like how you follow the detective on as he solves this case, and that the evidence is presented to you, so you're not just listening to a detective, you're also solving the case with him, sort of, which is really cool. Yeah. The visuals, again, so pretty. Some of the shots just like I was telling Alex that these are not like shots that are crazy to think of, but it's just the way it's executed and the camera work that just make them so beautiful. Like especially I'm thinking about the shot in the snow on top of the mountain. That was a really pretty shot. And yeah, like I thought the movie got a little weaker on the second half, but then like after like reading a little bit into it, and I sort of like I think the movie sort of did a swap. Like the first half is more like a noir, like detective thriller, and then the second half is more of a love story. And like if you interpret the movie that way, I think it's a lot more enjoyable. I give it a 4 at first, but I think I want to watch this again, and I think this will very like it's most likely will be a 4.5, if not a 5. Like it's that good. I really liked it, and actors are very talented, and I've not seen any work from this director before, so yeah, I have some catch up to do.
Yeah. That's Park Chan-wook, who is a very acclaimed filmmaker. He did Old Boy, Sympathy for Lady
Handmaiden.
Handmaiden.
Yeah.
Was it Stoker? Was that one of his? I think we've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
I'm getting deja
Old
vu.
Boy is the John Wick one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That John Wick is basically the same as anyways, for my Predators picks, I've seen a lot this week as well. What Aidan and I are trying to do, and Peter has failed to do, is we're trying to catch up on what we missed in 2022 so that we could do our year in review podcast. And so that's why we're watching so much, mostly. Also the holiday. So I watched Fire Island, which is an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, I want to say.
Oh, really?
One of those movies. Yeah, one of those. And it's like a group of gay friends who go to Fire Island for like a summer thing, and it was a good movie. I was very I watched the trailer a while ago and I wasn't really interested, but like the cinematography was like really good.
Oh yeah.
And I was really compelled by the story. It was a good time. I also watched Elvis. I can see how people are entertained by it, because at no point was I thinking like this is like a terrible movie. It's like Bohemian Rhapsody. You can strap in and just like watch it, turn your brain off. But like when you start to think about it, it's like, no, that was a pretty bad movie.
I thought Elvis was boring, because I thought it was so overstimulating that when you're like an hour in, it's like, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah, I was struggling to get through it before even like halfway, I think. But but like what I mean is that the Academy members, I've heard, love Elvis for some reason, and I'm not entirely surprised by that.
Yeah, that's good. It's a completely uncritical examination of a Hollywood idol. You know what I mean? Like
and there's so many things I could say about it. Like the framing it from Colonel Tom Parker's perspective is an absurd choice that does not pay off. It's so weird. I watched Babylon. We already said that. I watched Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and I do not regret doing that. It was a great time. I watched it by myself in a theater.
Nice.
There was someone like several rows ahead of me who was like laughing hysterically at some of the
That's
jokes,
awesome.
And I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
I wish I knew who that was.
Big shout out to that
guy. Whoever he is, he was having a great time. There's some like really funny fucking jokes in that movie.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorites is there's slight spoilers for a joke, but there's a new character that's a dog, and he's like an unwanted dog that's been like let out on the streets or whatever, and he's listing all the names. They're like, hey, what's your name? I don't know what your name is. And he goes, oh, well, people call me lots of things. They call me Get Out of Here, Scram, Kick Rocks, this, that. And he's like listing things that are obviously not his name. And then he starts swearing, starts cursing, and they bleep it out. And he goes, beep. And, they call me beep, beep, beep. And that was very funny. I mean, like story-wise, it started to lose me in like the second act and third act. I don't know. While it's funny and the animation is spectacular, I was really enthralled by the first act, and then once they start doing like what the rest of the movie is, I was like, oh, it's one of these movies. It's like it's a road movie with like a map, and it's like, oh, now we have to do the 3 trials, and I'm like, oh, wait, I've seen this before. Yeah, like there's a map, and we got to do these 3 things to get to the point, and I'm like, it's just one of those like very formulaic, like, wow, doesn't that fit super nice into the screenplay format kind of movies, that I was like, this isn't as great as people were saying. But that's only from like a story perspective. I found Puss in Boots a really great character. Going through like his character arc is really fascinating. There's 3 villains in this, and they balance them pretty well. John Mulaney is in this movie.
Oh, really?
And for once, I was like, I wish he wasn't. Like,
really?
Yeah, his voice does not fit the character whatsoever. So I'm always like, that's John Mulaney. Stop talking to him. I wish I was like. There's also like probably the fourth adaptation of Pinocchio in there. Like Pinocchio makes an appearance, and the cricket. There's a cricket. The cricket has a bigger role. You know the Pinocchio from Shrek. We've never met the cricket in Shrek, but the cricket has like a kind of like a minor role, and he's so funny.
Is this before or after the Shrek movies? What the world takes place?
This takes place like it's the latest in the series.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, go watch Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It was really fun. I watched the Muppets Christmas Carol first time.
That's a classic.
I like the Muppets a lot, and I didn't like this movie.
Oh, really?
It's basically the Christmas Carol.
That movie made me. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and it made me cry really hard when I was a kid.
My mom was crying. like I understand that how people would get sad about it, but like I was like, guys, this is literally the same Christmas Carol. They didn't do anything to it. It's literally just you've casted the Muppets. I was hoping a little more zaniness, a little more Muppets going on there, but
I distinctly remember there's a moment where there's a caroler near the beginning, and Scrooge throws something at him, and that when I saw that was the saddest I had ever been in my life up until that point. No, that crushed me as a child. Like seeing, yeah.
Okay, sure. I don't know what to say about that.
Moving on.
Michael Caine is like sleepwalking through that movie. Like I don't know if anyone's ever said that before.
Michael Caine was in what?
He's Scrooge. He's Scrooge in that movie. And like I feel like he was just there for the paycheck. I didn't care for that. I don't have the nostalgia factor, so that'll get me a lot of hate though. I watched Bardo, and I was the one who recommended it to Aidan because I knew it would be up his alley. Yeah. Just throwing that out there.
I was gonna watch it anyway, though. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Also point that out there. Fair enough. Okay. It was very interesting. I think it's not without flaws. It's pretty long. There's some good moments that I liked, and I really liked how absurdist it was and surrealist it was at the beginning, and it kind of loses that in the middle, and then at the end it explains it. And I agree with people who are saying that like explaining it was unnecessary and kind of ruins it. Like, Aidan, do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but I disagree.
Okay, that's fair. But like, I was perfectly happy with just accepting that this is an absurdist, surrealist world, and like that's his view of the world or whatever. I didn't need there to be like this is why it's all happening kind of thing.
But I didn't think that, and without getting too much into it, I didn't think that was the point of it. I don't think the point of that scene is to explain what's happening. I think the point had more to do with him as a character, and it's like,
no, sure, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I also know that like I listened to one of my podcasts, and like everyone on it, the host and the guest they brought on are like Inarritu haters. So like I listened to like an hour-long rant about why they hate that movie. So I understand the perspective now. Basically, it's just like some people find him to be not my words, but a hack.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Like, and they just find like this movie is very like I'm a director who's got all the success. And now, like, but doesn't it suck to be me because some people hate me?
But the like, movie's not that. Successful. That's not what the movie is.
Well, it's very clearly like a self-insert character.
No, I know.
So I don't know. It's
but
I understand what they're talking about.
I when people say stuff like that, it's like you're intentionally not trying to understand things in that movie. If that was your takeaway from the movie, you were trying not to.
I think some people just hate him so much.
I know,
but I don't have that take. So I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was interesting. I thought it was a good movie. There's some really weird uses of CGI, but like I said in my Letterboxd review,
I didn't mind it though.
I didn't hate it because it's a comedy. So it's like what?
It works within this surrealist. Yeah, I didn't mind it at all. Yeah.
And then I watched White Noise yesterday.
Yeah.
That one's also kind of long. And I was confused as to what it was doing because like I was misled. I should sue, but like I thought the movie was gonna be one thing, and like then the thing stops, and then it switches gears. I was like, wait, that it's over? Oh, okay, we're doing this new thing now, and so it took me a while to like realize where we were going. But looking back on it, I was like, oh, okay, like I get it. I get what they're going for, and it was a good time.
Yeah, that was a movie I immediately wanted to rewatch that. I was like, that was really fun.
Yeah. I admire that Noah Baumbach was doing something so different.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really neat. I also love that the movie ends with a dance sequence.
Oh, I love the ending.
Sucker for that.
I love that ending so much.
And then like the credits just roll.
Yeah.
And keep rolling, and it doesn't stop. And I was like, yes.
And
yes!
Andre 3000's character is doing like the same dance.
The cookie. Yeah. I didn't know who that was. Okay, he's the guy from
Outcast.
Outcast, thank you. Yeah. I didn't know that was him. That's awesome. I did notice the dance though, and even in the wide shot, he's still doing it. Oh my god! And is that the chemist? Is she the one from After Yang? Was that the same actor?
Oh, I don't think so. I'm not sure though. I don't remember though.
I'm gonna look it up. No, instead of typing white noise cast, I looked up white noise cat.
Oh.
So there you go. It is in fact Jodie Turner.
Oh, it is.
Who was in After Yang, so I was correct.
Oh.
I was like, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
She does a cool dance at the end too. Anyways, cool. So that's what I watched. Oh, I guess I also watched White Lotus. I've been working on that for the past little bit. So I watched the first season. Oh, man, I hated that fucking filter. The orange. Have you seen pictures of it?
Yeah. Is it like the Latin America filter that Ollie went off and puts on? Okay.
Yeah, but they're in Hawaii, so I guess I understand why
it's subversion then, because it's not.
Anyways. I hated the filter, but I think the story was interesting, and I'm trying to remember what happens in the last episode. I was definitely like some of the characters I loved. Like I loved Armand. He's the hotel manager with the mustache, and I mean it's not just because of that, but
it's a stash.
Yeah, I mean stash solidarity. Am I right? Anyways, that's what I watched. Next week we're gonna do our year in review because Peter had to take his sweet time and not catch up for this week, so we had to postpone it. And
dude, I was on holiday, man. Give me a break.
Whatever. Anyways, if you like us, go check us out on @PredatorVMovies on Twitter and Instagram. We post funny stuff. We do news and whatever. If you want to see our reviews on Letterboxd, follow us on Letterboxd follow me at _AlexGordon_. I leave pretty long-winded reviews that are like analytical. There's also somebody else who has reviews.
Yeah. So also follow me on Letterboxd. I'm 810 Sunny. That is 810 SONNY. My name is Wombo. I often leave just like goofy little reviews where it's a sentence, but occasionally I will go on a rant of a movie, or I will also remember a movie I watched a month ago and be like, oh, okay, this is what I'm writing, and then I'll go back and write it without actually having rewatched it. And then sometimes I just write other things. So you get a mixed bag from me.
Mixed bag. I think that's it for us. Oh, leave a review if you like what you listen to. Give us 5 stars on Spotify. We're trying to get an official ranking there. Like it on YouTube or leave a review. We'll read it out. We love our fans. Thanks.
Yep.
Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex.
I'm Peter.
I'm Aidan.
And this was Predator versus Movies. See you next time.
Happy New Year.